Hi everyone and welcome to the February favourites video. I've just chosen a few things this month that I'm particularly enjoying at the moment, and I don't know whether I'll be doing these videos monthly. I may do. I really enjoy making favourites videos, and I did mention, I don't know when it was, in one of the previous videos that I wanted to start making more favourites videos because that way I can give you a more in-depth look at the art materials that I'm currently using, that I'm currently loving. And yeah, we're not going to be doing so many art hauls this year, so we're going to be doing more favourites and having a more in-depth look. One thing that I did say I was going to do was a 2021 favourites video that would kind of show you everything I'd loved working with last year. Well, I promised this at the end of last year. I started filming it. We got into January. I got really busy. I didn't finish filming it because it was taking a while to put together. And then I went away to Suffolk at the beginning of February. I couldn't film it there. Now here we are at the end of February. I'm back in Surrey now. I'm back in my studio. But we're at the stage where I kind of feel a bit uninspired to film that video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to film that later in the year. We're going to make it a 2022 favourites, maybe in the middle of the year, maybe in the autumn, I'm not sure. But we're going to go through 2022. I'm going to see which materials I'm using the most, which I'm really loving. And I will put together a kind of extensive 2022 favourites video for you at some point. But until then, I'm going to do potentially monthly favourites. I don't want to promise anything. Obviously, we're starting with February favourites now. I may do a March favourites, or I may wait until April. I don't know. But I am going to be doing, which I think some of you will be excited about, a whole series of watercolour videos. I have been asked quite a few times by different people, but there was one person in particular, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember your name, but you asked whether I could swatch my entire watercolour collection. Now, if you've watched this channel for a while, you'll know that I've collected a lot of watercolours over the past year or so. So I absolutely love this idea. I don't think I have ever, well, I know I have never swatched all of the colours kind of in one go. Well, it won't be in one go because they'll be in separate videos, but we're going to make a series where I do it palette by palette and I talk to you about my favourite colours from each palette and we look at them in more depth. I love swatching. I kind of feel like swatching helps you to get to know your materials better, helps you to get to know your colours better. We may even do some colour mixing as well. So I'm going to start that soon. And I'm really excited to really look at my watercolours in more depth. Anyway, we'll talk more about that another time. For now, we're going to get on with the February favourites. So I have three different things here to show you today. Number one, Schmincke super granulation sets of paints. So I currently own 3. I don't think I'm going to buy any more. I have a few separate individual colours that I love from the other sets. There are, I think, 8 sets in total, plus this one, which is the limited edition Haze set. So I guess you could say 9 sets. I have 3 of them. The other 6, I don't think I'm going to buy. I don't think I particularly need all the colours, but I am putting together a little collection of individual pans of paint from these super granulating sets. So you'll see some of those coming up in future months. But today we're going to swatch the 3 sets, Haze, Forest and Shire. Now, I did these recently in separate videos, those 2 in one video and the Shire recently in a video on its own. But what I would really like to do is swatch them out beautifully all together so you can see my favourite super granulating colours of the moment. I'm really into using these paints at the moment. I think they are absolutely beautiful to use. I couldn't recommend Schmincke Horadam paints highly enough. I think that they are some of the best quality paints I've ever used. They seem to be very consistent in their formulation and their quality. The colours are just beautiful. As you can see, because I'm in the studio and I'm working on messy paintings, I'm wearing my really scruffy art cardigan again. These holes get bigger every time I film a video, I swear. They didn't used to look like that. At some point this cardigan's just going to fall apart and I'm going to have to get rid of it. But I don't mind wearing really scruffy clothes when I'm working on paintings because I do tend to get really messy. Anyway, the next thing I am loving at the moment, this is the Strathmore. I've taken all of the wrapping off because I've been using it, but it's the Strathmore Toned Gray sketchbook. Now, this is a really special sketchbook. I love the feeling of the cover, for starters. It does tend to mark quite a bit. This is one thing that if you want a pristine sketchbook, you may not like, but I don't mind it because I kind of like that it gets a little bit used looking. So yeah, that doesn't bother me. But it has this really lovely feeling cover. It's very, very flexible. And inside we have this kind of warm grey paper. So it's kind of got a slight hint of, I would say, like a brown undertone. It's not a really cool grey. It's really lovely to work on. Now, I only recently purchased this sketchbook, so it's new, but while I was in Suffolk, I did do a couple of drawings I like in it and one I really don't like. I am actually going to show you the one I don't like. So far, I've only shown my patrons this on Patreon, but I will show it to you because I think it's important to show sometimes things that you consider a failure or that have gone wrong, as well as the things you really like. So what I've been doing is I've been using it for coloured pencil drawings. So this drawing of little Suffolk cottages, this was done entirely in coloured pencils. I think I used a variety of pencils: Luminance, Derwent Drawing, Polychromos, I think maybe Holbein as well. There were lots of different ones. I don't stick to one brand of pencil. I love so many different brands. But yeah, as you can see, it stands out so beautifully on this paper. This kind of really adds another dimension to your artwork. And if you haven't worked on toned paper before, I would actually recommend it because I found it really enjoyable and I'm keen to do far more work on toned paper now. So this one I was really happy with. This was the first drawing I did of the little Suffolk cottages. This is going to be part of a series. We'll have a look at the one that went wrong, which is the next one in a moment. But I'm going to just flick through to this one. Now, this is another little Suffolk cottage, and this time I used a white pencil, and look at how the white pencil stands out on this paper. So this was the Derwent Drawing Chinese White, and I have to tell you, this is my favourite white pencil I've used so far. I've been looking for a white pencil, and some of you may relate to this. When I spoke to my patrons about this, there were a few of them that really got what I meant when I'm talking about white pencils. So I have several white pencils in my collection. I have the Caran d'Ache Luminance, the Faber-Castell Polychromos, the Stabilo All, and the Holbein Soft White. Now, they come with their own issues. So the Luminance and the Polychromos both sharpen really well, but they're not very opaque. You can't really get a very nice strong white with them. The Stabilo All and the Holbein, they're more opaque and they really cover well. They'll work well over the top of other pencils as well, but they crumble or they break when I sharpen them. So I've really had problems with the Holbein soft white pencil breaking constantly, or crumbling rather. And yeah, the Stabilo All, every time I go to sharpen it, it breaks. So those ones, I'm getting through them really quickly because they're breaking so often. They have that lovely opaque kind of coverage, but obviously they come with their own issues. The Derwent Drawing Chinese White, which is in this set underneath here, which I'm going to talk to you about in a moment, and we're going to swatch that too. This is just, I would consider this to be the perfect white pencil. It's opaque, it's creamy, it sharpens beautifully. I haven't had any problems with it breaking. So basically it ticks all the boxes. I'm so happy that I finally found a white pencil that does everything I want it to and that I love. I'd actually had it for over a year because I bought this tin of pencils Christmas of 2020, and I just hadn't used the white one very much. So when I got this toned grey sketchbook, that was when I decided that I wanted to use the white, and as you can see, it looks beautiful, gorgeous coverage. I'm so happy with that. So yeah, we'll be looking at those pencils in a moment because I've fallen in love all over again with the Derwent Drawing pencils. But I'm going to show you now the drawing that went wrong. So this little black barn, I am not happy with this. I really struggled with this drawing. I actually used one of my erasers and kind of rubbed out as much as I could of the barn and then went over it again, and I'm still not happy with it. I know that it can be quite nice sometimes when things look a bit quirky, buildings look a little bit wonky. I don't think this is wonky in a good way. There's wonky in a good way and wonky in a bad way. This is wonky in a bad way, at least to my eyes. I quickly scribbled in the sky or the background or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't look good. I'm going to use some paint and do something to this because it bugs me that in this gorgeous sketchbook I have been stuck with a drawing that I'm not happy with on the second page. So yeah, I'm going to do something about this. I actually added the writing hoping that it would make it better. It didn't make it better. Okay, so let's just look at the good ones again. Let's just have a look at the good ones. So you have those in your mind rather than the other one. I really love this sketchbook. I'm sure I'm going to be using it a lot. And yeah, I would really recommend it. The paper is acid free and I think it's £80 paper, which is 118 GSM, I think, but it's quite thick. And obviously I've only used it so far with dry media, but I'm going to try some paint on it and I will report back. Okay, so my other February favourite is my tin of Derwent Drawing pencils. Now, as I said, I've had this for over a year and I really rated them very highly. I made a video on them when I got them and we swatched them out and I absolutely loved them. They're really creamy, gorgeous pencils to work with. And as you can see, the colour palette is really quite unique because I think they're the only pencil set I know that has this really natural muted colour palette, which very much appealed to me. They're very much the kind of colours I like to work with. You can see I've used them a little bit, but I haven't used them a lot. Now, the reason for this is not because, obviously, I didn't like them, because I absolutely loved them, but because I think they're in a separate tin and I've kept them in the tin they came in. I put them in my art cart and I just keep forgetting that I've got them. So I keep my other pencils in a big pencil case and I tend to just grab that when I want to draw. And I sometimes forget about these, particularly if they've been put underneath something. Anyway, I pulled them out to bring them to Suffolk with me and I have absolutely loved working with these again. So that's why they're in my February favourites, because I have rediscovered my love of working with these. I'm going to make sure I keep them with my other pencils now so that I don't keep forgetting I've got them and I will actually use them. So I'm going to get my Royal Talons Art Creation sketchbook, which has kind of ivory white paper, and we will swatch them on there. I'm kind of thinking it might be quite interesting to swatch them all out on the toned grey paper as well. So maybe I'll do that quickly and then show you. And yeah, they're my February favourites. So let's get on with the swatching. I can't wait to do this. I absolutely love swatching. So I hope you enjoy it too. So here they are all labelled up, and I think probably my favourites from this collection are the greens and the blues, just because I'm always attracted to those kinds of colours. But I think it's a really nicely balanced collection. I think possibly it could do with maybe an extra blue. I think those earth colours are stunning as well, and I really like Mars Violet. I think Mars Violet is such a pretty colour. But yeah, from the greens, I would say Green Shadow is my favourite green. The blues, possibly the Solway blue, just because it's so pale and lovely. It's kind of misty. Reminds me a bit of misty blue, actually, the Holbein colour. But yeah, really nice earth selection of colours there. And just a beautiful, beautiful set of pencils. So I think what I'll do is swatch them actually on the grey paper, just so we can see the difference and see how they stand out. So obviously some of them show up better than others on the grey paper, but I'm particularly loving the earth tones. I love how they look on this paper. And also the paler ones, so like when you have the light sienna, some of the paler greens, the white obviously shows up really well, and the cooler grey, they look really good on this paper. So yeah, it's interesting to see how different they appear on different papers. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little bit different with the swatching today. I'm going to swatch, as you know, all 3 sets of the Schmincke Horadam super granulating colours that I have. So I have the Haze. I've already opened that up because I've squeezed out the first couple in preparation. Got the Haze, the Forest and the Shire. So there are 5 paints in each. And so what I've done is I've taken this sheet of paper. This is the Fabriano Artistico 640 GSM. So it's like really, really stiff, thick watercolour paper. And I've made a little grid. So we have 5 squares, not really squares, rectangles across the top, 5 there and 5 there. So I'm going to do the Haze across the top, then the Forest set and then the Shire. But what we're going to do is I'm not going to swatch normally. I'm not even going to do my pebble swatching. I'm actually going to do some, I think they're going to be like slightly loose, botanical, aquatic, corally kind of shapes. That's what I'm going to call them. I need a snappier title really, don't I? But that's what I'm going to do. So 1 in each, and yeah, let's just do it and see how we get on. So I'm starting with the Haze Pink, so that's this one here. Just get that mixed up a bit. And I need to add quite a bit of water to these paints so that we'll get to see the way they granulate. Such a pretty colour. I'm going to hold this up just to see if you can see. I don't know if that comes across on camera, but you can already see it separating. Okay, so I want these to be kind of fairly loose. I just thought it'd be a bit more interesting than swatching in like the normal way. It's good to have this grid as like a little guide for me, actually. I find these paints so interesting. You probably won't be able to see the colour separation or granulation that well from where you are because obviously I have the camera quite high, but I'll hold it up to the camera at the end so you get a really good close view of the colours and you can see them clearly. Oh, this is such a nice colour. It kind of separates, what did I call it? Haze pink. But it kind of separates into this gorgeous, I don't know, almost sort of teal blue really. And the pink, so you can kind of see both. Okay, so Haze Pink has two pigments, PR233 and PB36. So it's a red and a blue pigment. This is actually a lot of fun to swatch like this, if you can even call this swatching. So you see, this does look kind of like a little coral, doesn't it? Just thought it would be nice to do some kind of botanical designs. Because I'm using quite a lot of water with the paint, it's really separating. I mean, you may not be able to see the granulation as much with these designs, but you'll be able to see it a little bit. Now the question is when to stop. So I might leave that like that because I don't want to fiddle with them too much. Okay, so the next one is Haze Blue. So let me just tell you which pigments. PY43, a yellow pigment, PB29, blue pigment, and PBR7, which is a brown pigment. Okay, so some of these are going to be a bit more botanical looking. I think others are going to look a bit more like coral. It's been a little while since I did anything like this, so I thought it would be kind of fun. As I said, these paints are so fun to play with. The quality of the Schmincke Horadam paints is really quite special. And yes, they are a little bit expensive, but you know what, if you want a really nice quality paint that's wonderful to use and where a little will go a long way, this is a great paint to have. See, the more water you mix with these, the more you'll get that interesting separation. And the rougher the paper, the more it will granulate as well. So this is a cold press paper. It isn't like super textured, but if I used a more textured paper, you would get more granulation. So I'm just going to lift a little bit of the colour. It's a little bit heavy. Okay, so the next one is Haze Indigo. So we'll see how different that is to the Haze blue. So this one has 3 pigments, PB29, PG26 and PBR33. So that's a blue, a green and a brown pigment. This one's a really dark colour, a beautiful storm cloud colour. Kind of tempted to have a go at painting some clouds with this one later. Of my indigo rain clouds that I do. I need to lift, I think, some of this because it's so dense. I might do something else to this one in a moment. I don't know whether to add a few lines, but we'll see. I really like the way that one's turned out, but this one kind of feels like it needs a bit of detail. Okay, the next one is Haze Brown. So this has 2 pigments, PBR7, which is a brown pigment, and PBK11, a black pigment. I think this one is going to be more kind of branch-like. I love this brush, the way this brush holds so much paint and yet it has such a fine point. Just playing around like this really does allow you to get a feel for the paints and the colours. Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's use the last paint from this set, which is the Haze Black, and it contains 3 pigments, PG36, a green pigment, PBR33, a brown pigment, and PBK11, which is a black pigment. I just want to go back into this one and potentially, is it drying? Not really. It's kind of dry, kind of looked a bit blobby. It's the only one of these 4 that I'm not happy with. We'll leave that to dry and we'll see what we think. Okay, let's move on to the Haze Black. Actually, I've had a thought with these, that it might be quite nice to cut them up and use them as like little miniature originals as a little extra in with my orders if someone buys a larger original. I'm not happy with this one, let me just say. Really like that one. Really like that one, like that one. This one, the jury's out at the moment. I don't know what this is. I'm just kind of doing these organic, botanical kind of shapes, and you know, some of them will work, some of them won't, but the ones that work, you know, I can bear those in mind for future paintings. That's what's fun with playing around like this. You don't know what you might hit upon that you really like and can use in your work in the future. I don't know what this is. Some kind of like It looks almost like a bulb and it's sprouting or something, I don't know. But yeah, these could be fun to use as little originals. The ones I like anyway. I kind of like that, even though it's a bit weird. There's something about it I like. I like the organic shape, whereas that one just looks a bit clunky. Okay, the next set I'm going to swatch is the forest set. So we're going to start with Forest Olive. This has 3 pigments, PG18, PBR7 and PY43. So there's a green, a brown and a yellow pigment. A really beautiful green. Schmincke has some very nice greens in their collection. I'm really getting super into greens at the moment. Yeah, let's see how that dries. We'll just leave that really, really simple. And move on to the next one, which is the Forest Green. And that's PG19 and PBR33, so green pigment and a brown pigment. Okay, what can we do with this one? Maybe some slightly more. Actually, oh, that's quite nice. Some like little seed pod kind of shapes. I feel like this one needs more water to get the pigments kind of separating. Oh yes, look, if I lift that you can really see the brown coming through. There's something really fun about doing this. Actually, I might leave that one just like that. A bit loose and spiky. These greens are so pretty. I think it'd be quite fun if I had some reference material to work from. Because these are all completely just ad hoc. Is that the right phrase? Okay, so we have Forest Blue. This is one of my favourite super granulating colours and favourite colours ever, really, in general. PB36 and PBK11, so it's basically a blue pigment and a black pigment. I'm gonna do, I think, another one of these little, almost like corally, branchy things. Let's get a bit more water with it. How pretty that colour is. Really beautiful. This is one of the colours I have in my main watercolour palette. As I say, I'm going to be doing a whole watercolour series coming up, which I'm excited about. So I think it's going to help me explore my paints a little bit more. So I spent so much of last year building up my collection of watercolours and obviously I've swatched them out, but some of them that was a while ago and some of them I used more than others, so it'd be really nice to kind of get reacquainted with them and just sort of play around with them a bit with you and swatch and perhaps mix and paint, and who knows what we'll do, where it will lead. I think it'll be really interesting, and I can share some of my absolute favourite watercolours with you, which I think will help some of you, you know, who are perhaps just starting out, or even if you're not starting out really. I mean, I know whenever any other artist swatches their own collection of watercolours. It doesn't matter how many you have yourself, you always seem to discover something new. There could be colours that you're curious about, you've seen them online and you haven't seen anyone using them, and it really helps to see somebody swatching them out. I find a lot of my watercolours through other YouTubers. I watch their swatching videos and it's a great way of discovering new colours. Colours that you would have perhaps even dismissed had you just seen a swatch of them online, like a kind of digital swatch. When you actually see someone using them, it's then I've kind of looked at things and I've looked at them with fresh eyes and I've been like, wow, I wouldn't have thought I would like that colour, but seeing it actually in action, I do. And then I feel more confident to buy it, because you don't really want to be risking buying paints that you don't like that much or that you're not really going to use. So I think these kind of videos are so useful to other artists, as well as helping you to sort of become more knowledgeable or acquainted with your own art materials. Because just to sit and play like this, which is what I would consider this really, I'm not having to put too much thought into it. It's just like the sheer fun of painting. Gosh, this is such a pretty colour. I love it. I think if I had to just choose one super granulating colour above all the others that I love, it would be this one. So as I said, before I bought the forest set, I had this, I had a big tube of this. This is one of their first paints I bought. I must have seen it swatched somewhere because I saw this gorgeous blue-green and I was just like, that's my kind of colour. And I haven't fallen out of love with it. In fact, if anything, I might even love it more. Okay, so that's kind of a cross between the corally one and the more like little branch type one. But we're just having fun. This is just a fun way of swatching and getting to know the colours. Okay, shall I leave that? Okay, I want to put little extra bits. Maybe a couple up here. Maybe another one. Should we leave it now? So the next colour is Forest Brown, and this contains the pigments PG26, PBR7 and PY43. So that's a green, a brown and a yellow pigment. Do you know, this has made me realise I'm honestly going to sit and just do more of this kind of work where it's just like really enjoyable, because obviously I'm having to think a little bit about it, but it's not super complex, and I actually think these designs look quite effective, especially all together. So I might actually be making something like this, and I might film the process for you. As I said, I'm pretty much happy with that one, not happy with that one. I like that one, I like that one, I like that one. That's quite unusual. I like the organic shape. This one has turned out a little bit blobby. I think it could look nice with a few details. This one I like, this one I like, and this obviously is just really simple. But yeah, they're very effective and the colours look so beautiful together. Okay, so let's try the last colour in the forest set. That's Forest Grey. and it contains the pigments PBR7, PG50 and PBK11. So there's a brown, a green and a black pigment. I think for some of these it would have been easier if I'd have used a slightly smaller brush. But I do like these Betty Hayways brushes. Like I said, they have a really nice point. Right, onto one of the new sets. This is the Shire. So we're going to start with Shire Yellow, and this contains two pigments, PY159 and PV62. So it's a yellow and a violet pigment. So much fun doing these different kind of loose, nature-inspired, botanical-inspired shapes. I'm really going to have a go at doing something like this for real, as it were, and actually have some references to work from. I kind of feel like the Shire set goes really well with the forest set. It's kind of almost like a continuation of those type of colours. So next is the Shire Olive, and this contains PY159 and PB35, so the same yellow pigment again, and this time a blue pigment. Gosh, these are such pretty greens. I actually need a bit more of that one. So the third one is Shire Green, and this contains two pigments, PY159 and PG18. So a yellow and a green pigment. I really feel the more I'm swatching these that the Shire set and the forest set go together so well. It's like the Haze set stands on its own, although it does look really good with these, but the Shire and the forest just look so nice. It's like so many greens and they just seem to go really well. So this is the brightest one of the bunch. So I think, what am I going to do for this one? Something a little bit, I think maybe a little bit more delicate, like longer leaves. My intention was to make these, all of these a bit more frondy, if that's a word. But they've all turned out kind of quite different, really. So this is what's so fun about working like this, where it's just experimental, because you really just never know where it's going to go. You don't know what you're going to hit upon. And I can imagine just sitting here with like a podcast on, or another art YouTuber or something like that, or even a series I'm enjoying on the TV, and just, you know, pop it on while I just sit here and paint like this. It's so relaxing. I'm absolutely loving it. And I know some of them haven't kind of turned out exactly how I would have liked, but I'm learning from doing this. And it'd be nice to have a go with like the intention of making something for my shop or something like that. And kind of going with the designs that I feel really worked well. I'm just getting a feel for the paints. It's kind of like a warm-up, really, this. I'm getting a feel for how they move and work and exactly how they look. Okay, so we're nearly there. We have Shire Blue, Second from last, PY159, PB29 and PG26. So 3 pigments, 1 yellow, 1 blue and 1 green. And this is the colour that I think I liked the most when I did my Shire watercolour swatching video. So it reminds me a little bit of the forest blue, this one. And actually someone in my comments said the same thing, which I thought was interesting. I can't remember whether it was in the comments on YouTube or Patreon. It must have been YouTube. Because yeah, that was where I posted that video. Right, how are we going to do this one? I'm running out of ideas without actually looking at something. I think maybe we need a delicate one again. So let's do this. See, it does have some similarities to the forest blue, which is in the middle there, but it is different. Whether you can tell that from this distance, I don't know, but I will hold them up at the end. Really, really pretty colour. I'd say it's slightly lighter, slightly more teal than the other one and the forest blue. I feel so lucky to have these paints. I love them so much. And as I said, I don't think I'm going to buy any more of the sets. Although frankly, swatching them out like this really makes me wonder whether I want to buy Tundra. Because the other set that I really liked the look of was Tundra. I do have Tundra Pink already. And as I say, I have ordered some separate pans from some of the other sets, which will be coming up in a video soon. I'm just buying them actually whenever I have enough affiliate credit, because I'm actually on not a strict ban this year, but I'm trying not to spend money on art supplies at the moment. I want to save my money this year for something quite important, so trying to be good. A lot of my art supplies last year were purchased with the affiliate credit, but I would also sometimes add my own money to it, or you know, if I'm buying from like Colt Pens or Ken Bromley's or Amazon or whatever, obviously that's my own money. But yeah, with Jackson's, it's very handy having the affiliate credit. So whenever any of you uses the link in the description of my videos to place your order at no extra cost to you, they give me a little commission on each order. So if you go through that link, this kind of helps this channel, because obviously what I buy from Jackson's with my affiliate credit, you get to see. And it allows me to try more art supplies than I ordinarily could, which is really handy. Right, we have the Shire Grey. Now this is 3 pigments, PY159, PB74 and PBK11. So a yellow, a blue and a black. I think I'm just going to do something quite loose and quick with this one, because we need to wrap this video up. I have no idea how long this video is, but I suspect it's a big one. By the way, if you've made it to this point, I think, what shall we say? Usually I give you a phrase to put in the comments to let me know that you've actually made it this far into the video. I think this time it's gonna be, because I wanted these to look like fronds. They haven't really looked like fronds, some of them have. leave a comment saying, if you've made it this far into the video, write just good fronds. and I'll know that you're one of the few people who've made it all the way through to the end of this super long video. And if you have, I really appreciate it, so thank you. And if you enjoyed it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, because if you do that, it actually helps YouTube share it with more people apparently. So that would be really good to grow my channel if more people could see my videos. So if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, leave a little comment saying just good fronds if you got this far. And yeah, there we go. The finished piece. I'm going to just film a close-up of this for you, and you can have a good look at all of the colours. Yeah, I may use some of these. I'm going to cut some of these out, I think, and just pop them in with orders with like a little thank you on the back or something like that. I think they're quite cute. Yeah, the ones I really like, I'm going to do that with. But I will be making more of these, I think, because that was so much fun. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I've really enjoyed filming this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Yeah, as I say, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and you like what you see on my channel. Maybe even subscribe, and yeah, it'd be great to have you as part of this growing art community. You'd be very welcome anyway, and I'd be very grateful. Okay, take care everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.